my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is an interview with somebody I've been begging. I've been begging this guy for, geez, like at least 2 years, I think, to come on my channel, do an interview with me. I've actually been begging him to look at some of my comics as well, because this is Jerry the Jitterbug, and he actually started his channel around the same time I did, and we were sort of growing at that sort of parallel state where we're always competing with each other. And his channel is devoted to restoration removal, and conservation. He's really a conservationist, and he's amazing conservationist of comics, and he brings comics back to life, basically. And if you watch his videos, he always does it in all the stages, so you get to see the whole process. And it's a pretty interesting channel to watch, so definitely recommend you check out his channel. But let's bring him forward and get into learning his backstory, his origin story, how he gained his superpowers, all that stuff. So
Why, thank you, Alan. Thank you for allowing me to be on your channel. I always wanted to come on. And I don't have many interviews, so I think you're maybe the fourth interview that I ever did on YouTube over the course of, I think we've been on YouTube for maybe 2-3 years right now.
2 or 3 years now.
Yeah. So time flies.
I think it was 2022 or 2021 era. Somewhere in there.
Yes, I believe that is it. But thank you for letting me go on your channel.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming. So, I always ask the same questions. I gave you the list of questions I always ask. And one of the questions is, how did you get into
Adams? So let's do it.
It's like, well, you're supposed to look at the questions. Okay, so the first question I always ask is, how did you get into comics, and how did you start collecting comics, or when did you start collecting comics even?
Well, I got into comics by liking superheroes first. Now, I think we're close to the same age. I think we both have our birthdays in February too. So
I'm January, end of January. So I know it's like a week apart. It's a week apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we grew up in the 70s or the late 70s when we were younger, and it was just a magical time, I think, because Saturday morning cartoons, the Super Friends, that's right, the live action
Spider-Man and all those
100%. Yep. The live action Batman from the 60s, 66, I think it was. They used to play that
in reruns. Yeah, I'd see those reruns.
So that was, I used to watch every single one I could. The Incredible Hulk, the first Superman.
I love the Incredible Hulk. Yeah,
with Lou Ferrigno. Right. So growing up, I was not a sports person. My family growing up were not into football or watching sports. We were more into movies and things of that nature. And I really got into fantasy with superheroes and fantasy. And I was really into toys. So I had the Batman toys. I had the Justice League toys. I was really into Star Wars. In fact, I still have my original collection. I have the Death Star. I have the box for the Death Star. I have the box for the Millennium Falcon.
The Death Star was
They're cut out.
way out of my parents' willingness to spend on a toy. I actually ended up buying like one of those AT-ATs later on in life when it was something I could do on my own. Yeah,
I have the box too, and the funny thing, because my mother saved all of them, and she said she's going to be worth something. Yep. But it's funny when you look at the boxes that I have. I should show it off a few uploads. Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, you should do it. Yeah.
The boxes have like circles cut out and shields cut out of, like, I have the AT-AT box, and I cut out a shield, and I used to make, when I was younger, like a Batman outfit. I used to cut out the round circle. I used to draw the bat on it with construction paper, and I was very creative like that. So it's funny looking at the boxes.
They all have like a circle cut out of them.
Yes. So I was really into that when I was younger, and I had a family member. I don't know if you remember Betamax. You remember before the
Yeah,
VHS,
of
it was
course. I
called.
remember Betamax, but I was a VHS guy. Like
Okay.
Betamax was the rival, but yeah.
Okay, so we had a family member that used to get movies when they were in the movie theater. So when
Oh
Star
wow.
Wars was in the movie theater, we had a Betamax of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back when it came
So
out. So
how
we
did
had,
they do that? That's a
well, it was in the 70s and it just happened. So we had it, okay? It was bootleg copies.
of course, of
And
course.
yeah, yep. So we used to watch Star Wars religiously. So with that framework, I was really into superheroes.
Okay.
And so I remember getting my first comic book. It was when my family and I were driving to Disney,
Hmm.
and we stopped at a gas station, and I remember going in with my parents, and I remember seeing a spinning rack, and I even think it was before I was able to read, but it just looked
Okay.
so amazing. And they
Yeah.
bought me a few. It was probably mid 70s. No, it was probably like 77. That was the 77,
Okay. So
78.
pretty.
Right. So I got a bunch of Justice Leagues because I was always a
Oh,
DC.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I just remember looking at the photos and looking at the pictures and just trying to read it. And that's when I really started. And in fact, we were going down to Disney from New York, and in SeaWorld, I don't know if you ever saw, SeaWorld used to
Yeah.
have a Super Friends uh, water skiing show. And they have it
Yes,
on.
actually, I've seen it. I believe it or not. Yeah, I remember
I've
that.
seen
That was a
it. Yeah.
while
So
ago. That
you,
was.
you were down there in the
They also
70s.
did the Hatfield and McCoys as well. That was another one of the shows that they did.
Okay, so that was probably in the 70s. You saw late
It's
70s when.
late '70s, early '80s as well.
Okay, because it may have went. It was in the late 70s when I saw it. And if you go on YouTube, they have it on YouTube. It's
Oh
pretty cool
wow, I
to
never
see.
never knew that.
Yes, there's
It's
some
cool.
old footage. So that's how I got into it. And I really didn't start collecting until high school. So I started collecting probably like in 1988,
Oh, okay.
1989. And I used to go to local shows where I'm from on Long Island, and I used to go into Manhattan. It was the Hotel Pennsylvania. They used to have, that was before New York Comic Con, but this was the biggest show that they had in New York. So it was a
Mhm.
whole first floor of the Hotel Pennsylvania, which they just recently knocked down. It was across the street from Penn
Oh, okay.
Station. And I bought a lot of my keys in high school there, like my Hulk 181,
Oh, nice. And
Amazing
that's when
Spider.
they were still relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, it was probably maybe 400, 300, maybe. It wasn't a lot of money, maybe
Hmm.
300 I paid for it. And I just had a very big Batman Golden Age collection back there.
So you were picking up
Back,
Golden Age back then.
yes, but I probably had a good 7 or 8 under 20 in really high grade.
Oh wow.
And I wanted to be a dealer when I was in high school,
Oh,
meaning a
okay.
comic dealer. So I went to a local show. I set up my board with the lights on it. I put my
Hmm.
comics on the wall, and the wall I made, and I
Hmm.
had my Batman. Some guy walked in and he said, "Hey, I'll give you $2,000 for all the Batman." I was young and dumb, and I took it, and I took the
Yeah, yeah.
money. I drank with beer in high school. I don't know what I
You
did.
probably wasted it all. Yeah.
I wasted it. And in fact, did you ever buy, or do you remember hearing Sparkle City Comics in New York?
Yeah.
They're
No,
a
no, I
big.
know them. Yep, I've heard of them.
Uh, I
I think I
have
bought from them. So.
yeah, I have the receipts from them. For like, I have one of the books. It's the one of the Batmans with Mussolini and Hitler on the cover. I think it's
Oh
Batman
yes. Yeah, yeah,
16.
yeah, yeah.
I bought it was a very high grade I bought from them. It had to be now probably like a 7 or 7.5. I remember it
Wow.
was very high grade. And I still have the bill from 80 something. It was all through the mail. And it was like $275 I bought it for. So
Add a
that was a
couple
lot of money.
zeros. Add a
Yeah,
couple
there was
zeros
a
to
lot of money.
that.
Yep. So that's how I got into comic books. And after high school, I went to college. I went to law school after that,
Mhm.
and I really wasn't into it heavy. But I would always go to garage sales. If I saw books, I would pick them up.
Hmm.
And then I really got into it probably, I would say, probably around maybe 2010. I really got back into it again when I with eBay, and I
Yeah,
started buying books on eBay. And
yeah.
how I got into like restoration or conservation as we call it is I grew up in a household that we were also, my father was into restoring cars. So I
I've
used to
seen some of
restore.
your cars. Like, yeah, I've seen some of your pictures where you showed
Sure,
cars.
I have 4 cars all in different states of
Quite nice.
restoration.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so I really like to make things look as best as they can. And
Hmm.
in fact, even in high school, I used to soak covers with golden age books. I used to take the covers off because there was a book in my local library about comic collecting, and one of the sections was comic restoration. And
Oh, interesting.
back in the
Well,
80s,
back
early
then it was accepted. It was not a bad thing.
100%. And I have a few purple label
But if
books
you,
I'm going to show you
oh, really? Yeah. So you got
that
yourself
I
purple
did
labels.
like
Oh,
years ago.
no.
Yeah, so I used to take the covers off. I used to soak them with the blotting paper. I used to put the covers between stacks of books with weights, sort of similar to what I do now. So
But isn't that,
I
that would be considered okay, right? That part is okay.
well,
Isn't
if you use chemicals, then it can get to the
no chemical. But you said water, soak it in water, and then it's fine.
sure, water. Well, listen, I see now that people I used water on books that I get
Hmm.
a universal grade. I've used chemicals on books that I received a universal grade.
Hmm.
And I think CGC is getting a little more clever about it. And they're
Hmm.
starting to ding people because there's a lot of guys out there with the hydrogen peroxide using the blue lights, and they're
Yeah, yeah.
submitting it, and they get shocked when CGC says, "Oh, that's a conserved or even worse, a restored grade." So
Hmm.
it's a fine line, in my opinion, and
Now,
I
I
would
think
always.
they can detect it because it's slightly faded, right? It does take a little bit of the color away as well, doesn't it?
It really depends on what era of book,
Hmm.
because I always like to say on my channel, a golden age book, I like to equate it to an old Cadillac from the 40s, a big, massive hunk of steel that's very strong.
Hmm.
Silver Age, or even Golden Age towards the end. When is that? Like 52, 53? Am I off?
54, 54,
Okay,
54.
okay, 54. So even a lot of the Golden Age, like Fawcett, at the end of the run
Hmm.
in the early 50s, they're not as hardy as well. And you have to be careful. And I've made a mistake on a few of them, the later ones, where they act more like a Silver Age book.
So
Okay.
they're, the paper is not quite as thick. It's just not.
And the ink isn't as strong. It's a different
Mhm.
printing method. And with Silver Age books, they're a completely different animal. You have to be very careful with Silver Age books because
Mhm.
you can ruin them. You can wipe the ink off of a Silver Age book
Oh,
easily
wow.
if
Wow.
you do something wrong. Like now, I'm working on an X-Men #1. I'm almost
Hmm.
done. It's actually sitting in the press now, and
Okay,
I
because you've been
took.
working on that book for for a few months now.
Well, yeah, I take breaks. Sometimes my uploads, I know that you stack uploads sometimes
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you do
yeah.
them, you like, because it's a lot of work. And
Mhm.
especially when I'm filming and I'm working on the book, there's sometimes I don't feel like talking and explaining how I'm doing it. I just want to get
Yeah,
to
you
it
just
and I
want
want
to
to
just
work
do the thing.
on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to do it. It's a lot of work with the production and the camera, and I have to watch if my head gets in the way, and you don't want dead air, so you have to continuously talk. So
Yeah.
I have been working on that book for quite some time, but I'm happy with the way it came at it. And I was very careful with wetting it or doing anything with water because I am so scared. I'm going to be honest. I'm
Mhm.
not scared of many things, but I'm scared of working on Silver Age books. It's my least
Okay.
favorite to work on
And now, are
because,
Bronze Age or later books bit better, or is it just as?
yes, Bronze Age, first golden. They're the hardiest, the strongest. The early golden, I can soak it for 6 hours in water and nothing will happen. Okay,
Okay.
or in a chemical. The Bronze Age are nice and hardy too. The paper quality is a little thicker, and if you thumb through one of your Bronze Ages, you'll see it. It's a bigger book versus going through the Silver Age. You feel the paper; it's very thin. It's not really a strong book, and that's why you see a lot of lower grade Silver Age books that are out there, because they were more prone to being damaged just with moisture or handling. And that's why you see sometimes, and I'm sure you have tons of Silver Age books, especially Marvel. You look and there's like
Well,
a
Marvels,
thumb.
they fall apart. They were really
And there's
cheap about the
prints
paper.
out. Did you ever see like fingerprints on one of your books from the
Yeah, I
ink?
have seen that actually. Yeah.
Right. That can be done from the printer, or if you have moisture in your hand and you're touching it, you have to be careful. You can lift ink from a Silver Age book, and when you touch
Just
a
by
white,
touching it. Yeah.
yeah. So you have to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer that question? I
Yeah,
know I
yeah,
can.
no, yeah. You did. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, but how did you get, like, obviously you said you had the Batman collection when you were a kid.
Hmm.
Well, kid, like when I say kid, I mean like,
A kid. Still, I wish I was that age. I don't know.
yeah,
Do I?
exactly. So, what got you back into the Golden Age stuff? Or what got
um.
you into Fawcett of all things? Like that's very different.
Well, I really liked Shazam growing up too. There was the live action
Yeah, there
Shazam,
was. There was a
and
live action as well. I only saw the cartoon.
there was a live action
Oh,
Shazam in the
really?
'70s during that
Oh, I
time.
never
Go
watched
on.
it, and I'll have to Google it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Did you watch the new Shazam that they made?
Yeah. I liked them actually.
Okay, so there's a fella. He makes a cameo, a little older guy in the red shirt like Billy wears. He's in
Oh,
one of
okay.
the. He was the
The
Billy
original
Bat.
Billy Batson. Okay, that's cool.
So no, go check it out. It was on for quite some time. They used to have like a camper, and it had the Shazam, the lightning bolt in front,
Oh, wow.
and they used to go travel the country. And I think there were about 3 actors that played Shazam. It was pretty good. It was during the time where I think not what's the name of what's his name, Black Adam's wife. It was another
ISIS.
Isis. Okay, right. So
Yeah.
she had a show too that was on
Oh, I
a
didn't
live
know.
action. So it
Wow,
was
that's
during
cool.
that time, right? Yeah. So Shazam was. I always liked him growing up. It was Batman, Hulk, Spider-Man, and Shazam. And there were, back in the '70s, DC came out with little mini posters, and I actually saw it on eBay recently. And it was a series of posters, and about five of them were Captain Marvel fighting what's his name? Savannah, Dr. Savannah. Okay.
Yeah. The
And
main
one of the
band.
posters like breaking some robot machine or computer. And I had them all when I was younger in my bedroom, all around my bedroom, Shazam.
Oh,
So I
wow.
really liked it
That's
for
very cool.
some
Oh,
reason.
okay.
Yes.
So when
And
you got older and able to afford these things, then that's where you decided to
correct,
flex.
correct. And I do think that Fawcett makes, or they made the best World War II covers out of, I think, the Golden Age eras. When they did it right, either with Master Comics or Fawcett or Captain Marvel Adventures. I know that Marvel has all those World War II covers that Schomburg did. For
Yeah, those
me,
are awesome. I love those.
they're too busy
Wait,
for me.
okay, so
They're
you're
too
more of a
busy
CC Beck kind of guy. You like the
to a
more
degree.
simplistic
There,
superhero doing something.
there's a lot going on there. There's a million people all flying around, and it
Yeah.
reminds me of a when I used to draw things in high school, like making drawings with everything, doing comics, going all over. It's just too much. I wouldn't mind owning a lot of them. I wouldn't say no. If I see a good deal, I bid on them. I never get them. they're super
Mhm.
expensive. But I also like action comics too. I think that
Okay.
action comics, they DC did a very good job for World War
Mhm.
II cover Superman. More action than Superman. So I collect
Okay.
action comics World War II as well.
Okay.
And Batman was campy. Batman is not good for the World War II covers, in my opinion. They
Okay.
have a few good ones, but it's not like the Fawcett's. So,
I actually liked the campy, the campier covers. Like, you know,
okay, like the with the firecracker, the one that I have one here. I'll show it that it's
yeah, yeah,
exploding Hitler, Mussolini, and here he
yeah. I
chooses.
like those ones. Yeah, yeah. I think they're
Okay,
cool.
they
Like I have behind me. Oh, it's not there. It's not visible, but it's behind. I have
right.
the boner cover. The one with the Joker totem pole. It's like
Okay,
and it's like
yeah.
it's a cute. It's a funny one. Yeah.
No, I have a bunch of Golden Age Batmans, and it is funny, and I'm going to be working shortly on a real key Batman, like a super key,
Okay.
which one just sold, I think, on a green label. I think they sold it close high 20s on this one that I'm going to
Oh
be
wow.
working on.
Wow.
So it's a detective, and the cover Batman has a gun in the cover.
I
So
think I know the one you're talking about. Okay. Cool.
someone reached out, and it's very simple. It's just going to be I'm going to make it a conserved book because they have and hopefully he's going to give it to me. He reached out, and it's not like I charge. He's going to give me a book in
Yeah,
exchange
yeah,
to do.
yeah. That's one good thing that you do is you
Sure.
you work for comics
And
basically.
I'm building my collection. I think the payment we discussed is Captain Marvel Adventures #3. So that's what I'm going to get.
Wow. That's a
And
pretty nice book.
it is. It's with the foil lightning bolt, right? So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
good book. It's a nice book. And so this book, I hope when I do it, all I'm doing is leaf casting, and without giving too much away, one of the covers, it's a single cover. It was a Daisy Rider, the BB guns
The guns, yeah.
file copy. So it's like in
Oh
prestige
wow.
edition, and I have to do some leaf casting and put it all together. So
Oh,
we'll
that
see.
sounds really cool. That sounds really yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So I have a question. You got to remind me, like about covers, putting covers together. I want to ask you about that later. But
Okay.
what I'd like you to do actually is like if you can show some books. Show some
Okay.
books that you brought. People don't like us. They like the books. They want to see the books. So we got to show
Okay.
the
Well,
books.
the books I'm going to show, it's not necessarily they're super expensive. They're the
No, but you
majority
have cool stuff. I know you have
they're
cool.
golden age. So I really
Here, wait,
like.
wait, wait. Oh, wait, wait. I'll make you big.
Okay.
There you go.
So I really like Alan. You can keep it small because I think I can do it better. It's fine
No, no,
because
no. Show your
I'll.
books. You got to show them. You got to make
So
it big.
this is Master Comics number
Mhm.
37, and it's just
Okay.
it's a real cool Mac Rayboy cover. And I'm a big fan of Captain Marvel Jr. Obviously, he's a part of the family of Fawcett. And I like him a lot because I'm a big Elvis fan. And
Yeah.
Elvis really was influenced by Captain Marvel Jr., including his stage outfit in the 70s and his belt buckle and his symbol. He has a taking care of business symbol with a
Mhm.
lightning bolt. So he really liked Captain Marvel Jr. And it's just a cool cover with Captain Marvel Jr. in a Nazi submarine, and he's pulling the life vest out of the water with the Nazi sailors in it. So
That's really
here's a
weird.
here's
Yeah, I haven't seen
another
that one before, strangely. I know
here's
this
another
one though.
here's another Captain Marvel Jr. And this is a real cool cover. Another Mac Ray Boy cover. And as we see, here's the Nazi flag. And it's just Captain Marvel Jr. riding a bomb going down to blow up I believe it's a Nazi fort with the airplane. So it's where they keep their ammunition. So another cool Captain Marvel.
I always
The
wonder why
next
they ride the
one is a
bombs, by the
Whiz
way.
comic.
I always think it's weird. They're riding the bomb. Like
They're like,
that's not going to end well. That's not
he's
going
a
to end
young
well.
fella. He's he's having fun. He's a
Okay.
teenager. Now,
Okay.
this is Whiz Comics 92. And
Okay.
again, it's not a super valuable. Well, actually, it is a pretty valuable book because it's a very rare book. You don't see a lot of these for sale.
Yeah, I've never
And
seen
I
that one
just,
offered actually.
what's that, Alan?
I've never seen that one offered for sale.
Right. So I just like when comics put news or the comic print on the cover, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like the inside of the book is on the outside. So this is another
Yeah,
one
it's
of
cool.
my books that I really like. This is a part of the collection. I really like this book that you bought some books from, right?
We both
Donald
bought.
Duck.
Yeah, that was part of the collection that we bought
Yep,
together.
yep. So this is, I believe now, this may be the first Carl Barks cover. Someone told me it wasn't, Alan. I don't know if you have the answer to that, but
It
this is
is. I think it's the first Karl Barks story, though.
inside. Okay, so
Yeah, inside.
this is not him, the art for the
I'm
cover.
not sure if he did the cover or not.
It sure looks like him. It
I'm
looks like
pretty
he.
sure. Yeah, I think it's Karl Barks' cover too, but it could
Okay,
be that it's his first cover and story or something. Maybe that
okay.
kind of combination. Because there's
So this
another
is
book. There's
right.
another book
This
he did. A Pluto book, which is his very first in artwork in a published comic.
okay.
Pluto.
That's cool.
Yeah,
But
I have
you're
it
a big
somewhere.
Disney. You're a big Disney fan, so this
Oh
is a
yeah.
real. Do you have this book?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a
Okay.
it's one that was on my want list. Yeah.
Okay, so that's another one. Now I have some action comics.
Oh,
Now
nice.
this is a real cool. This is Action Comics 53
And
and
that's obviously Second World War, right?
Second World War. These are three Nazi soldiers with flamethrowers, and the swastika is on their arm right here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but this
Kind of,
is,
yeah.
yeah, this is an example of why I like Action Comics, because it's just a cool cover.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool cover.
And they get a premium for the Action Comics, especially the World War II ones. So when I see them, I'm trying to grab them. And
So do you find those on eBay or where are you getting these?
I bought on eBay or on at comic shops
Okay.
or comic stores, wherever I can find them. Here's another Action Comics. This is a real cool one.
Oh,
Action
wow.
Comics 62. And here, this is taking place in the Pacific, where Superman is blocking a troop, an American soldier, from being shot by a Japanese plane. So this is a real nice high grade book for the age. So I'm going to clean it and press it, and I'm not going to do any conservation, but I'll send that off to be graded in the future.
Very cool.
Here's another Captain Marvel Jr. number 12. And this is another cool book with Captain Marvel Jr. flying through a Nazi tank. So again, another cool World War II.
And that looks like a Macro Boy as well.
This is a Macro. Yep. And as you can see, I do like World War II covers. And that's my favorite genre, is World War II covers, because I'm a history guy, so I really like history.
Me too. Yeah.
So World War II is fascinating. Here's Whiz. Here's another cool book.
Oh, that's a classic cover. I mean,
yes, this is Whiz Comics number 3. So this would be Whiz Comics number 4. Okay.
And that's his third appearance, right?
Correct. So this is Shazam ripping off an engine, or a plane engine, on a Nazi plane. So this is definitely, for me, a very cool cover. And this is completely split. The spine it's completely split.
Okay,
And
so here now I can ask you my question since you have a split book. I'm gonna bring you on
yes,
like this. Okay, so you got a split book. Okay, now here's the weird thing. If you put tape along that split, okay,
right.
sometimes they'll actually, instead of being a 0.5 grade, it'll actually get a 1.0 or 1.5 or whatever. And then, but CGC will denote that it is tape on cover or something like that, right? They'll denote something like
Okay,
that. But they'll actually give
right.
you a higher grade, with that tape on cover. Because
Well,
it's
it
it's one of the
depends. My understanding, if the like this is in really good shape, this book. If you look at it, the
yes,
cover is pretty much all there. The
yeah,
back cover, everything is there. It's just
mhm,
that it has a
it's
complete spot,
split.
and also the interior pages as well. Everything is split. Okay,
Oh wow, okay, so a complete split throughout.
complete.
Now
So
was that a
the
square bound book? Is that why?
no, no, it wasn't. No, it just I don't have a reason why it occurred. But
Okay.
the question is that I was really thinking, should I send it in by itself and
Hmm.
by itself without any work other than cleaning it up a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
And it would probably get a 0.5 being split all down.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sometimes maybe if you're lucky, they can give you a one. If you're lucky,
yeah.
okay.
Sometimes
Because
if
I
it's
have some
really, really solid looking
right.
copy.
Like this is a solid book, so I
Yeah.
may get a one, but with the interior being split, that's a problem. Okay.
Hmm.
So the question is, I can take this book and
Leaf
I
cast.
can I can leaf cast the just the spine of every page, and then I can leaf cast the cover, and that's all I would do. And in a
Hmm.
way, it would help because it's a little brittle, the pages. So just by using water, it would take some of the acidity out of the pages, and it would make it more supple. Okay.
Hmm.
So I can leaf cast each page, and by doing that, I probably would get on this book about a mid grade. Like I would predict maybe
Like a
a
6 or 7. Oh yeah.
five to a six, a five. Let's
Oh,
say
five
it's
to
a
six. Okay.
conservatively. So if it's a conserved grade 5 to a 6,
Hmm.
that conserved grades are generally, I think
About
they're a
half.
little more, right. I think they're a little bit more than restored, and restored.
Depends. Like somebody asked me this on my channel, and it depends. It really depends. In high
Okay.
grade, you want to have conserved. In low grade, you want to have restored.
So what would a 5 to a 6 be? That would, you're tipping over the
You're
mid
sort of
grade.
at that point where it's like, you know, one way or the other. It could be either way is about the same price.
So I'm thinking for the value of that book, if I
Mhm.
did the work, it would be worth more.
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah, of
even
course.
if I can get a 6 for it, and then it will be the value of a 3, that's a significant book. At 3, it's
Yeah, yeah,
probably a
yeah.
couple. So
No,
so
you probably
again, I
get more than that even. You'd probably
maybe
get more than a 3 even because probably you'd get a value of about a 4.
okay,
Usually you
okay,
can usually drop 2 grades in terms of the value difference.
okay. Or I just send it in and get the 0.5 and a universal. There's purists out there who don't want conserved. They don't want anything done with
Restored or yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Even conserved, they don't want. I'm going to be honest. If I had a choice between a conserved book, which is a higher grade, or a universal lower grade, I'll take the universal day in and day out. So I try to make a criteria in my mind. What is the threshold in order to do the conservation?
Hmm.
And if the book is falling apart and it's not going to be here in the near future because of the state that the book is in, then I'm tilting yes, the conservation is worth it, but the deacidification of the pages, the maybe doing the leaf casting or things of
Hmm.
that nature, then I'm tipping towards it. But with this book, we're dealing with a book that I can encapsulate it, and it
Yeah.
will stay like that.
But here's
And
the thing, like for me on that book, because we'll use that book as a good example, I would prefer the conserved 6.0, like or 5.0 even, over a point 0.5. That
okay,
there is that, even though it's a blue label point 0.5, there
right.
is that sort of like another form of just things that people don't like seeing is that point 0.5 grade, because it just sounds, oh, it's incomplete, there's something missing. It's like,
And that is an issue with the CGC grading, in my opinion, where the
mhm.
point five, it goes incomplete in our what you
And our
think it
minds, yeah, yeah.
is. So when they removed the notes, they created some confusion where
Hmm.
I think that what they should do is put point five, and I don't know if they still do it, if they still put incomplete on the notes. They should put
Hmm.
incomplete,
They
and they
do.
should.
I think they still label the
Okay,
books as incomplete. Yeah,
okay,
if
and
it
then
is missing something, yeah.
right. So, but if it's complete, like I have it, the Justice League or the Brave and the Bold that I worked on, I have it on the
Hmm.
pile here, and I got a point five. I knew I was going to get a point five, but it
Hmm.
had tape all over. It was in really bad shape, and I did my best with it. I think if it's complete and it's in really bad shape, you should get a little bit more than a point five. They should do maybe a point
Personally,
seven,
point 0.7.
a point oh
Personally,
seven.
I think what the way it should work is, if it's a complete book, it doesn't matter how bad the completeness, like how bad it looks, it should be a 1. And
I
that should be
agree.
the threshold. It should be just that way. For example, my X-Men is a point 0.5. Like,
Right.
but it's complete. There's like, it's just ugly. That's
And
just
I
a
and
good book.
your X-Men is similar when I get to it, like my Brave and the Bold 28. Yours is probably better condition than
Hmm.
mine as a point five. So then
Yeah.
what's the point? Why is yours a one? And
No, but
well,
mine
yours
is a
is
point
point
0.5.
five.
Mine's a point 0.5. Yeah. It's just
Well,
ugly looking. It's ugly looking.
so I guess that is the reason. Here's another
Oh,
cool
oh, make it
book.
big again. Wait, wait, wait. Oh yeah,
This
he's
is
wrestling.
yeah, Whiz Comics number 9. It's a World War II era book, but
What is
he's
he
in.
wrestling? Is it a
It's a
pterodactyl?
rhinoceros.
A
A
rhinoceros. Okay.
rhinoceros. Yeah, rhino saving the damsel in distress. So this is a
Oh
real
wow.
early Whiz.
I
I'm
thought it was like
happy.
a triceratops or something at first.
Well, I think I commented on one of your uploads where I I think it was a shark cover you were showing,
Hmm.
and it's really funny when you see the artists back in the 40s and the 30s in the golden age time when they
Hmm.
draw animals, and they really didn't have a lot of ideas of what the animals look like, especially sharks, because they don't, a lot of them
Yeah,
don't.
sharks were way off. But actually,
Yeah.
that's for me some of the charm about the shark covers. I love that about the shark covers, that they
Oh
don't
yeah,
look like sharks.
they
they
don't, they
look
don't.
they look like crazy things. But oh
So
well.
here's another one for
Oh, nice.
I like to collect
The
American
patriotic, yeah.
patriotic covers. So this is a nice Mickey Mouse magazine. It's number 10, volume 4 from 1939.
Oh
This is
wow.
when this is when Walt Disney was truly patriotic. I feel up into the 70s, probably until the 70s, and they
Hmm.
still are. When you go, I have to take it back. Disney is still patriotic. When you go to the park, there's more American flags all over the place, and they're
Hmm.
still like that. But I guess this isn't a political discussion. We should just
But
stick
yeah,
to
yeah. But no, that's
okay.
a great one. That's sort of like a Yankee Doodle Dandy
It
kind of thing.
is
Yeah, I like that.
here. Here's another one. It's uh, I really like this cover.
Oh,
This is
Mary Marvel. Yeah,
Mary
wow.
Marvel, Wow Comics, and this is number 15. And this book is it's complete, but this book was from a bounded edition. Okay, and
Oh,
that's
wow.
so
So
it's
it'd be restored then, because it's probably cut, right? It's chinked.
well, that's what the seller said, and there's still glue going on the spine here because someone removed it from the bounded edition. But
Yeah.
I compared it to other
With.
covers, and to me, it looks like it's pretty close that it's not cut, but it could be. And again, even if I
Well,
sent it
So the
and
problem with
got
those bounded editions is usually it's trimmed on all three sides, right?
the fit into the book, right?
Yeah.
Right. To fit into the bounded edition. And that's one of my dreams that I have, like going to an estate sale and seeing some leather bound books for sale. And then, did you ever see a bounded edition with Golden
Yeah.
Age? It looks like a leather bound legal book.
Yeah.
And then
I've
just on the
seen those.
cover, they say, what's that?
I've seen like a Heritage Auction had a few of those for sale recently.
Oh, and it
Um,
just says on the cover
it's
like
just like
Batman
it's like
holding
a
it.
yeah, yeah. And it was like I
Right.
forget what it was, but they had like a complete run of something or other. It was like it was some Golden Age series, but they had like each bound edition was like 1 year of that
It,
book, so and then they had like three or four, and so you could get the whole run of something. It was pretty cool.
and they made the bounded editions all the way. I've seen them. Marvel did it in the 60s too, with
Hmm.
runs of Amazing Fantasy and Spider-Man in a bounded edition. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool. So that's
yeah.
one of my dreams, getting some books and looking and
and
opening
then
it
and
up.
then you find, oh hey, action one.
Yes. So the next one, again, it's another World War II. Now some CGC,
Oh
and this
yes,
is a cool.
I think I've seen this one on your channel where you brought this one
This
back to life.
right. This one I conserved, and it's a 0.5 because it's incomplete. But this book, I leaf casted it, and I married a few pages inside. I found an incomplete copy, and I was able to get a few pages, and I
Now,
leaf
now
casted.
why is it that they allow you to marry things and still get the conserved?
I guess it's their CGC's threshold is that they're trying to make it where the book is conserved to be complete. I don't know the rationale. I don't.
Hmm.
But I can't complain because I have many books that I look
Now, does
for.
it denote that it's been married?
Let me see. It does say conservation includes leaf casting to cover and interior reinforced, reinforced, cover clean. Okay, so I did. Yes, centerfold missing, 14th and 15th wrap married. So I
Oh
didn't
wow.
have a centerfold, but I did have the 14th and the 15th
So
wrap.
you did and it still gets the conserved label. So I would
Still
have
gets
thought it would be get the green label or something like that.
no, still conserved. You're allowed, and a good criteria is you are allowed. You go on the CGC website, and they will let you know what you can do for a married book. And one of the categories is you can. I mean, not for a married, for a conserved book. And one of the categories is that you are allowed to marry wraps or covers. And just like the
Mhm.
X-Men that I'm working on now, the X-Men one, the front cover is from a different book than the back cover. The
Okay.
first wrap is married. There's a lot of marrying going on, and it looks really well with the leaf casting.
Nice.
So another book is another Whiz, and nothing's crazy about this. It's the first white Whiz logo,
Oh, okay.
and it's an American flag. I really, again, the American flag I like. And then also, I think it reminds me of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because it's dealing with dwarfs,
Hmm.
and that's why I like the cover. And it's
Okay.
dealing with World War II because what the bad trolls are Adolf Puss and Blabbermouth Musso. So it's
Oh, sort of
Mussolini
like
and Adolf Hitler.
Mussolini. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, but
They're
they're
very
trolls,
subtle. Yeah.
very subtle. So that's a cool book. How much time we have, Alan? What do you
As much
usually do?
time
An
as
hour?
you want. As much time as you want.
Here's another one I
Oh,
got from
that's the
that.
one I was so sad that you picked up. It's like,
I was saying after I saw the ones that you picked up too, I should have got more, but we're all happy and it was a
I think
wonderful
we all
thing.
did well, actually. We all did well.
Yes.
That's the big
So
one, though. That's the big one.
this is the first appearance in comics, right, of Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
And
It is.
this Now, this book, if you haven't, guys, go check out. I have a playlist on my channel because this book had packing tape going halfway down the cover.
Hmm.
And I was able to remove the packing tape. And I was lucky with really very little graphics were lost. I think there's a little spot that came off here. There's nothing you can do about it. And then when I have the pieces that I really think, should I try to put it back on and
Hmm.
try to pass it through and they won't pick it up? But if you do it and they catch it, it's going to be a conserved or even a restored if you get a bad grader. So this is definitely a cool book, and I'm very happy to have this in the PC.
And that book, even in a 1.0, is crazy expensive.
What would you value at a 1.0, you think? Like 3 grand,
Uh,
maybe?
yeah, around 335 maybe.
And like the golden age or the key books, I feel the key ones, the real first appearances, they only go up and they appreciate over time. It's
Yeah,
the new books that are hot, and when I say new books, what, from 80s on, I,
80s
I
on,
just don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Or even
see
the
them.
70s on, even, I would say, because 70s, there was a lot produced during the 70s.
Sure,
But
and these books, they don't make them anymore, and that's
well, I
why
mean, the census on that book is really low. It's
it
not an
is.
easy book to find. It's such a big deal.
That
Um,
I was very happy to get this, and you know what,
that was an amazing collection that
the
that
fellow was
you
John Hanna. Yeah,
yeah.
and I
I
don't
was
even
so happy that you invited me in to pick up some of the books on that. That was awesome.
I don't even want to say what I paid for the book. So, and
It was a lot less. I can tell. I can
and
tell the
but
audience it was a lot less.
again, the average person seeing it, like I said, half of the cover had brown
Yeah,
pack
I mean
tape,
these
so
books were in beat up condition,
they
but
were,
they
and
were all
I'll
like
be
amazingly cool books.
sure, and I was very happy to get that to a 1.0. So,
Yeah.
and actually, there's an issue with this book because you can keep it small. Because right here, I
Hmm.
had it. Where is it? Um, this whole thing here, the right here, this little section of the book,
Okay. Yeah.
I had that showing on the front when I sent it, and
Oh,
when they
they lost
encapsulated
the piece.
CGC, I called that CGC and I bust their chops saying, "Hey, you lost the piece. Where is it?" And I had it on. I think I did it on my channel where I
Hmm.
showed the correspondence back and forth. And they're like, "Oh no, it wouldn't affect the grade." I go, "Well, where's the piece? Because that's a valuable piece to a valuable book." And I went back and forth, and
Is it
they said
just folded in?
it's folded in because I can see it. It's
Hmm.
folded in, and it would present a lot better if that chunk was there. But again,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it, and
Yeah. No. No.
yeah, I
It's
used
a
to
great
battle.
book.
I used to battle CGC a lot in the past.
Don't do
With
that. No.
I don't do it anymore because I just lost the drive to do it, and I think they corrected a lot of the issues that they had, and if they do encapsulate a book not the best, and if you do call them up and speak to them like human beings, that they'll take care of you. Okay,
Well, I just
this
don't want you to
was
be on their radar. Is my concern. I just don't want you to be
well, I
because you're
used
doing
to
a lot
say
of conservation, right? So I just don't want you to be like,
I used to say that they were watching me, and
yeah.
people would say that I am nuts. They are not. I still
Mhm.
believe that they used to watch my
I mean,
uploads.
if you think about it, like, there's not that many comic channels. It's like, really, like
No,
maybe about like less than 100, I would say, less than 100 that really matter, like that they're big or big enough that they would be on the radars. Yours is
sure.
one of those channels that,
Thank you.
especially because of what you do,
Correct.
that
And,
you'd be
and
on the radar.
and now there's a lot more channels that do what I do. None of them
Mhm.
leave cast though. I haven't
Yeah,
seen one. I
and
haven't seen
10,
one.
10
Yeah,
Goju paper like
Tengojo.
that.
Yes, they use
That
Tengo.
you,
They don't
nobody
use
talks about that.
No, they don't leaf cast it. They don't leaf. I haven't seen one yet who leaf
Hmm.
cast. And listen, I not to brag. I'm not doing that at all. But
Hmm.
I was the first channel. I believe I haven't seen any other channel that did what I did when I first started.
Yeah.
And
So usually what I've seen, like just to, toot your horn a bit, is
right,
they will do it as one
sure,
video where you get, it's usually fast forwarded and you don't really see the process too clearly. It's like kind of, tips on how to do it. And then, oh, here's the book done at the end. It's like, but
right,
you meticulously go through the steps so that, a noob like me can sort of follow along and like, try to follow your process and hopefully kind of get it. And you actually show
sure,
that learning, you actually show the learning curve that, you go through to get better at,
right,
like, one of your best, like one of your best uploads, in my opinion, and was where you were trying to be really good about this whole concept of conservation. And so you actually took like some golden age book, you chewed it up, and then you tried to have, real golden age paper to go with the books. And then you
right,
realized that the color wasn't there. And
right,
then you had to
right.
do this kind of color sampling thing where you had to sort of match the colors. And I thought that was just a really interesting process where you learned by doing it. And
Sure, thank you. And it doesn't work. It's very hard to use original pulp
yeah.
because you're using pulp that is 60, 70 years old, even with
Mhm.
the Silver Age, and you can't do it because it's
Mhm.
not strong. It is acidic. It's not a good paper base to use. But
Mhm.
now I've fine-tuned my leaf casting process where I'm pretty spot on. And believe me, when I leaf cast books, I get a color that's close and I say to myself, enough, because
Mhm.
I can go further, I can fine tune it, I can keep on,
Mhm.
but I'm not, you're not reinventing. No, I take that back. You're not hiding that you did the leaf casting. So
Mhm.
people always ask me, "Oh, Jerry, could you work with different color pulps and try to match with the cover?" And I go, no, because I probably can, but no, because doing the conservation in a way, it sort of is nice to see what is original and what is
Mhm.
not
What is
original.
not?
Because,
Yeah, yeah.
right, you're not hiding it. You're not doing anything that you're going to say, I made a cover when it's not there. So I try to get as close as possible. And it's a lot easier to match the pulp of the interior pages, which is strict
The
news.
cover is like really hard, I
Colors
imagine.
are because right, there's different colors. I can have a
Mhm.
cover, and the cover will have five or six more different shades of tan, white. So it's very difficult to match it. And that's why I always do the repairs with leaf casting for covers on the interior of the cover.
Mhm.
And then when I do the leaf casting for the interior pages, I always will leaf cast the side that is stapled onto the next page on the spine so you don't
Mhm.
notice it much. And then
Mhm.
another thing you have to do when you leaf cast, I see there's a few guys on Instagram and who do leaf casting and they just fill in like the voids of where paper is missing. That's not, in my opinion, the right way to do it because you not only are you filling in the voids, you have to reinforce the page. So when I do leaf casting, say for instance, if it's a complete split
Spine
spine,
split. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I can't fill in a little hairline crack with
Yeah,
leaf
and
cast.
it's like it's not going to be
Never,
sturdy enough, right?
no. So I fill in the whole spine, and I like to go around the perimeter if I'm leaf casting it. And there's someone, I don't know if you follow Kenny Sanderson on Instagram.
I know who he is. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I became
He's the
very
other
friendly.
famous restorer guy for.
Sure, sure. I become very friendly with Kenny, and we speak on the phone often, and we speak about leaf casting because again, there's not a lot of people who do it, and we talk about shop and how to make it better and
Mhm.
tips and I do it different and he does it different. And I used to study his Instagram posts where
Mhm.
I used to try to learn as much as possible just by looking at the photos. But now I developed, like I said, a friendship,
A
and
good
it's good
friendship with
that
him.
we
Yeah,
talk about
that's good.
George.
That you have that connection.
Yes,
But how
yes.
sturdy is it when you like? Let's say you have a split spine or split page. How sturdy is the leaf casting? Like, can you like pull on it and it'll stay together, or is it?
Yeah, I can pull.
It's
I
fairly
can.
sturdy. It's sturdy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's very sturdy. It's if it's done right, it's strong as an original sheet of paper if it's done
Okay.
right. So it
Okay.
is strong. You can pull on. You don't want to muscle it. You have
Yeah,
to be
it's like
careful when you.
yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but it is strong, and it's pretty strong if it's done right. Not if you're going to fill in little voids, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's not going to be strong.
I, I
So
forget which book it was, but not on your channel, but on somebody else's channel. They had they had sent off something to you, and then they were flipping through the book, and I just thought that was
okay,
so cool. Like I just thought it was cool to see one of your conserved books that they could actually read, like they because it was so
I
brought
think
back
it
to
was
life.
either Night Tiger, Mike
Yeah, I
Night
think it was
Tiger,
either Night Tiger
or or
or
Metarog. I did a few
it might
books
have
for
been
him as
Metarog
well.
actually, but
Right, right. So,
it was just
oh yeah,
really nice to see that.
but I have to say, listen, conservation. If the book is in really bad shape, and I'm sure you have a lot of brittle page books in your collection that if you
Yes.
pull them out, chunks will fall off, and you can't
Mhm.
really handle. They're very hard to work on. They're very hard to leaf cast. It's just the paper is so far gone. I've done books like that, but
Mhm.
you really want to thumb through them very delicately because
And
it.
it's with those brittle page ones. Like let's say the book is complete, but it's got brittle pages. Can
Mhm.
you bring back the page life, like where it kind of
Yes. So
loses that brittle?
right. So what I do is I will soak pages in water first. We'll
Hmm.
wash out. Well, now I don't even soak them anymore. Now I moved away from soaking, and what
Okay.
I do is I spray them now. Okay,
Okay.
with I have various pump sprayers, and I will put them on my little grate table, and I'll put them between two pieces of the sheet between two pieces of ramee, and I'll spray it with the pressure, and I'll let all the impurities fall down. And the
Hmm.
other channels will be doing it soon. Don't worry, they take notes when they watch my
Okay.
channel.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
So
You're an
so what
influencer.
happens? Yeah, okay. So what happens is if you think about it, you're soaking a really acidic cover in a bath that I've
Okay.
done a zillion times, but you're soaking it. Do you really get clean when you take a bath if you're at
No.
a
Yeah.
beach and you go home,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You're
Yeah.
soaked in dirty water. That's why baths don't make sense unless you drain the water and you refill the bathtub,
Yeah. And you
right?
keep on doing the process over and over again. Yeah.
So I done it now where I spray and I let the impurities fall down, and
Okay.
that's step one. Then we can use calcium hydroxide mixture with water, and
Mhm.
all calcium hydroxide is if you did you ever get heartburn and you took Tums before?
Okay. So it's basically Tums. Okay.
It's Tums for comic books. So
Okay.
it makes it alkaline. It makes the pH. You want to get it around 7, and
Okay.
you want to draw out the acidity, and you want to put an alkaline buffer in the paper, and you can make the pages stronger if they're completely brittle. And then what I do when they're
Now,
wet,
have you ever tested this where you took like a book that's been graded as being brittle pages, done the process, and still get a blue label but not brittle pages? Or
I haven't, and
that'd
and
be a
that
good
would be
experiment.
I'd be interested. I would do that. I would do that and
I should
have a
show you. I
book.
have a nice Saint that would be a good one for that. At
Right, but
Matt Baker Saint #2 or
is it
something.
is it graded though
Yeah,
as
it's graded.
brittle?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
brittle. Yeah.
that would be the way to do it. To
Hmm.
have a graded book and try to make it where it would come back a conserved grade,
Oh,
but they
so they do pick up on the fact that that
I
process has
I
been done.
I think so, because with the real brittle pages, I soak it in the calcium hydroxide, and you don't want to rinse it out too much. When I first started, I used to rinse it out too much. Now I want to keep the calcium hydroxide mixture in the page, and there's a little powdery. You can feel it. It has like a little
There's a
powdery feeling
residue. Okay.
and residue. And then another way that I help it is I'll just brush my methyl cellulose on the page, and the methyl cellulose is the glue that I make and I use, and I'll brush it on, and I'll
And it just
press
makes
the
the
page
pages
so
much stronger.
make
Yeah.
it a little stronger. So most likely CGC would pick up on it,
Hmm.
and it would be a
You get the
conserved
conserved
grade.
grade. Okay.
Right, but the brittle pages, that's the worst for me. Um, Brittle pages, if you have a brittle page book, they should be encapsulated, and they should stay encapsulated, and they'll
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
disintegrate in the.
You'll see it like little powder at the bottom of the slab. Um,
Yeah, no, definitely. So here, Alan, you can keep this small because look, here's a.
okay. Oh, that's my.
It is
I'm still trying to get that book. You know.
okay. So this is Captain Marvel Adventures, and it's number 23 from April 1943. And this is
Mm,
one of our, I know that you like him and I
I
like
like
him,
this character.
Steamboat, right
Yeah.
here, right here.
Yeah.
And Steamboat was Shazam's sidekick.
Sidekick. Mm.
And in fact, when I show this book a lot on Instagram in the past, or I have this book in my intro that I made, he's in it, and I get comments that, "Oh, that's a racist cover. You snuck in a
Yeah.
racist cover." And listen, I didn't live back in 1943. It was a different time. Is it
But
insensitive? Of
I
course.
don't
And
even know
you,
if it was really that insensitive. Like, it's funny. Like, if you look at African art at that time
right?
period, they would draw themselves that way.
Correct.
It's like, but and they made the character to appeal to African Americans, like to appeal to black people. They wanted to get black
I,
readers.
I agree, and I didn't live, I didn't make it. I'm not going to burn books if people are they feel that it's
Mhm.
insensitive. No, not at all. So he was a hero. He was right. He was a hero in the
Yeah,
book. He
he was.
saved the
He was.
day a lot. And
I would
listen,
always tell people he was
I'm
more
Italian.
heroic. Yeah, I'd
Yes,
say he was
I'm
more heroic
Italian
than.
partially.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there was plenty of stereotypes with Italian people back in the day,
Oh
and
yes, of
I laugh
course. A lot
I
of the bad
laugh
guys
at it.
were Italian.
Of course. So this book is a conserved grade,
Hmm.
and with this book, what I did, I married a centerfold. I was able to find a coverless
Oh,
copy,
nice.
and this one I just did plain tear seals, so there's no leaf casting. So if
Okay.
I didn't do the work on this would have been a 0.5. So
Now,
I'm
why is
happy.
it that you get again? This is what I don't understand. I've seen so many books where it's just a married centerfold,
I
and
think
it gets the
that
green label, but then you get a conserved.
I
That's
don't like being like, well, I, it's a good question because I write notes now when I send conserved books into CGC and
Mhm.
I explain what I did. And
Maybe that's
I
why.
think I think you could maybe write a note saying I would prefer a conserve to a green if
Okay.
it's married, But the question is, I don't know if there is just a married book with, I mean, a book that just has a married wrap in it or a married cover, and that would be a conserved. I don't know if I've seen one. Maybe you
Okay.
have. I think
No, no.
I
Usually they're
right,
green labels.
right. I think for the conserved, you have to have a little bit more done. Like in this one, there were tear seals with Tengojo. And
Mhm.
remember, just because you do the work, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a conserved grade, because the
Mhm.
conserved grade has to be done at an expert level for
Yes.
CGC. So there's
That was one
people
thing
who
I was
do.
explaining to my audience actually, that really its restoration is A, B, C, but conserved is
Mhm.
just that one higher level. It's just,
Right. You have to use the right materials, and you have to and you have to be at an expert level. And
mhm.
there's times, I don't know if you know Jim from Bronzeville Comics. You watch his
Yes,
channel.
yes, yeah, I've watched this channel, yeah.
Okay, so I did a Fantastic Four number 5. What's the first appearance of Doctor Doom? 5, I think it is.
Number five, yeah.
So he gave it to me, and I was pissed off when this happened. And the whole front of the top of the cover was ripped off, where it said the whole Fantastic Four up. It was torn off. He had it, and the cover was in bad shape.
Hmm.
So I had to do some leaf casting to the cover, and I think I did some leaf casting to the interior pages.
Okay.
I sent it in, and it came back as a restored grade, like a
Yes.
3.0 restored.
I think
And
I've
I was
seen
like,
him post that actually.
right, I was like, oh shoot, man. And I spoke to him. I go, listen, I'm sorry, and I did my best. And one of the notes was that the tear seal was of a B1 in nature, so they didn't like the way I did a tear
So
seal.
there's still
But they
wow.
did. But the problem was they didn't note that leaf casting was done. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking I got very close with the leaf casting. I really got very close where it
So
was
they didn't even
hard
pick
to
it up.
know. I don't think they picked it up. Okay. And I
Mhm.
think maybe they thought that leaf casting was pieces A. I don't know what they were thinking. So he
Mhm.
said, okay. I said, why don't you sit on it for a while and crack it and
Resubmit it.
resubmit it? So he did that, and he actually got a grade bump. I think it went from like a 3.0 restored to a 4.0 conserved. So he
Wow.
got the conserved. So that
Nice.
book ultimately, right, turned to and he didn't touch it. I actually did an upload, and this is why I
Mhm.
think they may be watching me, because before I did that book, I did an upload with CGC, and I was sort of giving my
Harsh.
opinion about CGC, and it was about dealing with notes, and I was on a warpath for a period. I'm not going to write a note to CGC, and that
You're
was a
gonna try
little.
to sneak it in and
Yeah, yeah. And I had a conflict at that time with Kenny Sanderson that we were going
mm,
at it. Not bad. It was all in jest,
yeah,
not really. But then,
yeah.
but then we became friends, like I said. So
Mhm.
I honestly think that they watched it, and they were tipped off, not by anyone. I'm not pointing fingers, but again, I am of the view that CGC was watching my channel, and they gave me they knocked me down a peg with that book.
Yeah,
And,
that's a
and
shame.
it's a shame, but it's fine. And
Mhm.
in fact, there's books on my channel that I sent and I worked on, and they gave me restored labels.
Mhm.
And I was so pissed off. I cracked the slab, and I looked at it, and I resubmitted it. P.S. I have a few accounts, okay, and I
Okay.
resubmitted it, and I got it back conserved. So if that's not evidence that they were watching the
Something. Yeah,
channel,
there's probably
so
yeah. As I
but
said, there's
it could
not
be
that many channels to watch. Like
right
where
now.
there's
It's good.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
worried now. They're concerned about people resubmitting books,
yeah.
fraud, and
Different
things
reasons. Yeah, there's bigger
like
issues,
that.
bigger fish now that they have to worry about.
So I'll go quick with them. So here's a nice
Okay.
American flag cover, a nice Whiz.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That is July 1943. And you
Wow.
know what? They really had great wartime covers. Here is that Batman that we were talking about.
Oh
Okay.
yes.
It's a point 0.5. And in fact, this book, I had a coverless copy I bought. And
Okay.
then I was able to find just the cover on a
Hmm.
separate deal. And I bought the cover. I married them, sent it in, and I got a point 0.5 universal. So you can marry covers to
Hmm.
books, and they won't pick up on it. I did fray the spine a little bit. I had a bit. I had to do a
Yeah,
little work.
because they look at the way that they can detect it is where the staple is. That's their method.
And if there's no staple, there's no way they can. And especially if the perimeter of the book is frayed, and so I made this where they couldn't find out. So I'm happy at 0.5. It's not
Yeah.
like the one I used to have. So here again is the Brave and the Bold number 28.
Oh,
I have
that's good.
another copy that I'm working on. I have two copies of this. One is going to be a conserved grade. I'm going to leaf cast it. I'm actually thinking about, with the other copy I have, I may do a full restoration with color touch. I don't
That's
know
what I
yet.
want. I want to see that. Like I've been poking you about that for a while.
I may do it. So this book was riddled with tape. It had layers and layers of tape. It was in really bad shape. I it's complete, and I always wanted this book, so I'll take a 0.5. Do you have that
Yeah.
book, Alan? The Brave and the Bold
Yeah, of
20?
course.
You do?
Yeah, I have it. I have everything.
I don't. What grade do you have
I
that
can
one?
show it.
Is it CGC?
Mine's in a no. It's not CGC. It's a 1/8 by My Comic Shop. I think it's like
Okay,
probably a
and
Q2 Q5.
they grade low.
Really
My
harsh. Yeah. Yeah,
right.
it's quite
So
it's a nice looking copy actually. They
okay.
graded it as 1/8, so I was quite happy.
So I really like the Punisher, and this I
Oh, that's a
had
nice book.
when I was in 10th. No, probably I got this when I was like in ninth grade. I think I paid, if I recall correctly, a couple of $100 for the book, maybe
Oh,
150,
nice.
200. So we're just going through the quick ones. Now this is the Hulk 181 I have, and
Oh,
it's restored 7.5. Now
the color touch. Did you do this
yeah,
to this book?
I did it. I vividly remember I brought it back from that big show in Manhattan at the Pennsylvania Hotel, and it
Hmm.
was in really nice shape. And going across, there's a little color break going across right here, and I just took a black. I think I may have did a black felt marker,
Oh
and by the
no.
spine, I did a few red pieces, very small pieces. So I
Hmm.
remember doing it with the color touch, and I wanted to crack it, and maybe take the color touch off, but I'm not even going to do it. Maybe in
Usually,
the
if you
future.
do it with a felt pen, it's probably bled through. I imagine.
Right. And I have two copies of Hulk 181, and one I had also color touch on it. And I did
Hmm.
a series on my channel where I conserved it, and
Okay.
I got it from a .5 restored with color touch. I think I ended up getting a 2 conserved
Oh,
with
nice.
the
That's a pretty big upgrade.
there's a little bump. What do I got next here? A quick, another Whiz classic with
Oh,
Captain
that's a good
Marvel
one.
punching the tank, flying in with the Nazis in it. Another
Nice.
World War II. Here's another classic, and this is a funny story right here. This is
Oh,
Captain
yes.
Marvel
That,
Adventures number
that's a
21,
really pricey book, by the way. I've been trying to
and
get that. I've
it's
been trying to
creepy.
ever since you showed it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to get it. And then I was like, man,
And
this is
at a
really
five
expensive.
five, yeah, it really creeped up in price.
Hmm.
And the funny thing, I'm on Facebook as Jerry the Jitterbug comic
Hmm.
collector, not a
Yeah, yeah.
personal account. And I had this as one of the books on my, I don't know, on the banner for Facebook. And
Yeah.
then like a few weeks ago or a few months ago, whenever it was, all of a sudden I see that I got flagged on Facebook. And I'm like,
Because of the Nazi
flagged?
symbol.
Yeah, for offensive content. And
Oh,
I was so pissed off about it, where it's so silly in my opinion, where that they would do something like that. And
yeah.
I don't think it was a human who did it. It was probably a bot who
Well,
does
it's
it.
AI that discovers, oh, there's a swastika. Oh, he's promoting some Nazism or something.
Right, like I'm a white supremacist. It's crazy. But the key thing about this book, now I don't know if you know this, Alan, that the Captain Marvel Adventure series, there was a run of maybe 5 issues where right from the printer they used to glue the Mighty Midget
Yes. Yes, that's right.
right on.
Yep.
Okay. So this was one of the books that they glued the Mighty Midget comic on.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I cleaned this book right here, there was paper right here. So what it was the back of the
Where they
Mighty
ripped it off. Yeah.
they so I removed it, but this was one of the books. And in fact, I'm looking for because I forgot what number it is, but it's Captain Marvel, an early one where Shazam's pointing to the corner of the book and
Yeah,
saying,
because
"Here's
that's where the
correct." So
mhm,
I have that book, and I also have a Mighty Midget, the one
the one that
that,
goes with it.
but it's not the one that goes with it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
do you have any of the Mighty Midgets?
Yeah, actually I have a slabbed copy of one that's like really high grade. Like
Okay, so there's the Mighty Midget, and there's the one that they used to sell where the back cover is like newsprint color and it has the stamp, the war stamp on it. Okay, if
yeah,
you
I
look
think
at
mine is that one. I think that
okay,
actually. So
so
that was separate. I know that's separate. Yeah.
the ones that were glued onto the cover
Had no
had
back.
had a different back. It was a blue color back with Batman with Shazam hitting a with a bat, and he was hitting a ball, and it was
Oh,
a
okay.
different back cover. So it's a variant for the
Mighty
Mighty Midget,
Midgets.
and
Okay.
those were the ones that were glued. And in fact, Man Cave Comics,
Yes, of course. He's a friend.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he has an original one with the book glued on.
Well, actually, I know when he got that because there was an auction on Heritage where they had maybe
Mhm.
about 5 or 6 of them, and they were
Okay.
all like for sale, and they went actually quite high prices because they were the
Do you
original
recall?
books with the Mighty Midget on them, right? Like where it was like
Right?
like
And it wasn't graded; it was raw. Do you recall what they
they
went
were,
for?
I think in the 500 range, 500 to 1,000 range.
That's not a lot of money. They
I
could have
think it was like
with
that.
that book.
We can look it up. We can look it
Okay,
up. I forgot, but
okay.
it's some because normally those same books, like because they're mid grade, right? They're not like I don't think they
Well,
were like
there's in Heritage. When you go on Heritage and they have the past sales, there's
mhm,
one that was graded with the Mighty Midget attached. So
in it.
CGC graded it, and it went for thousands and thousands. Like it went for a lot of
I
money.
know they're incredibly rare. I imagine.
So I'm looking for the Mighty Midget with the right back cover, the small
Hmm.
one. And what I want to do is I want to
Want to put it
reattach,
together?
and I'm going to send it. I'm going to see what's going to happen. And
That'd be cool.
I was very happy because when a lot of people send me AOKs, like the people who are fans of my channel, and
Hmm.
someone sent me a Mighty Midget for free, and I was like, oh, I finally got it, and that's how I know it has a different back cover because I was doing
Okay.
the research. I was going to glue it on, and I'm glad I didn't do it. I have two more books.
Okay, 2 more books. Okay.
So this is one of my favorite action comics.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is just a classic cover. It's from August 1943,
Okay.
and this book I bought from Alex the Comic Order,
Oh, nice.
and he had it for sale. It was incomplete, so it was
Oh,
missing the first. Actually, I gambled. I bought it. He said he had a claim sale. I spoke to him before. I go, I really want that book.
was that the same claim sale that I was on with you, and you were
Yeah,
buying
you
all the
were on
books? We were battling
Yes.
it out. That was that's sort of
So
funny.
I got this book. I think. Oh, what happened was I didn't get this book. So
Okay.
there was a higher bidder for this book,
Hmm.
and he didn't pay Alex. So Alex called me or
Oh,
texted me. He's like,
nice.
"Do you want the book? You're the second, or I want to give it to you." So I bought the book. I think I don't recall. Maybe it was 250 through 300,
Yeah,
and he
I remember his prices were insanely cheap.
right, and he said, "Listen, Jerry, it's incomplete."
Hmm.
So usually, when you hear a book is incomplete, you think it's the centerfold and a few of the wraps.
Hmm.
So I go, great. I didn't even ask him. I go, I want the book. I really wanted it.
Hmm.
So at the same time, there was a coverless one on eBay. same
Okay.
book that was missing the first 3 wraps. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it because I know it's going to be a
Yeah, then
centerfold.
usually it's the centerfold that's missing, right? Yeah.
I got the book, and guess what? It's the first 2 pages that were missing.
Oh
The cover
no.
was detached. So
Oh
now
well.
I have a coverless copy that's missing the first 2 pages. Then I had to buy another one, and I married the first. No, the first wrap was missing. So the first wrap is missing, and then I did some leaf casting to it. And a 5.0, I'm fine with that. That's a good grade for this
No,
book.
that's a
It's
really great grade
yep,
for early action. I mean, that's
yep.
awesome.
So the last one is another action book, and this is Action Comics 11 from 1943. Another cool motorcycle cover, and again, this I
Yeah,
leaf casted
I
the
can see the
front.
leaf casting.
Yeah, it was. This is a book had bug chew, so it was riddled with
Oh
bug
wow.
chew. So you know what I said to myself, let me leaf cast it and put it back together because another criteria when I work on books is I'd say if you can't read it the way it is, then you should maybe conserve it, because when I'm done conserving the books, I can take it and I can thumb through it. I can
That's
go
what I'm
through the
saying. That's I really enjoyed when the guy did that with one of the books.
right. I was watching. I was like, ooh, be a little careful with that, but I did watch it because I write a little note when I do a book for someone that I leave cast, and I'm like, it's
Mhm,
like a gremlin. If you get any water on it, it's done. Because that's
mhm.
why it's conservation, because I can soak the cover and
And
I
then
can remove
the leaf casting will come right off.
it
Yeah.
will just all float up. So
Mhm.
those are the books, Alan. Some pretty cool
No,
ones. I've
no,
sold.
they're really good books. There's good.
Yep,
So well, usually I ask like we got 2 more questions to get through. We're
that's
halfway through
fine.
the questions, but no, the
Okay.
questions are short. What one book would you kind of be chasing after right now? What's your book that you really want to get?
I would like to get Whiz #1. That's what I would like to get.
I
Whiz,
knew that answer, but I figured I'd ask anyways. But
right.
yeah,
Whiz #1. There's a few runs that I'm trying to complete. I would like to complete the Incredible Hulk run. The
okay.
first 6, right? Yeah, it goes
The
to
first
6. The
6, it's just
first,
6. Yeah.
yep, very hard. The what, 2,
Mhm.
3, 4, and 6 you can grab.
Actually, right now, completing the Hulk run, except for number one. Number one's
That's
brutal, but
it's
five,
brutal.
2 to 6 is not that bad. The prices have
No,
really come down.
they have, and there's one in one of my local comic shops. It's a 4,
Mhm.
Hulk #4 raw. I think he's asking 600. He's a little too high for that.
It's
It's
a
in
bit
lower.
high. I think you can get
Yeah,
around 3 to 400 usually.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go speak to them and do it. The
Mhm.
longer I wait, the longer it sits there. I
But
keep
yeah. Then more of the fear of the prices dropping, right?
right, and then I bring in books. I one comic shop I go into. I can bring in books that I don't want because I have
Mhm.
tons.
Mhm.
Not like you, but I have maybe 6 or 7 long boxes of books that I don't even want, and I'm like, why am I
Mhm.
keeping these books? A lot from the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Mhm.
In the 90s, I used to go in and a McFarlane book, I used to buy 20 of them, like a lot of people did. And
Yeah, that was a
I
big thing
bought
in the
the wrong
90s.
I bought the wrong ones. I didn't buy the New Mutant with Deadpool. It's in
Yeah.
hindsight. But so what I want to do is I want to get rid of a lot of my books that I don't want. So I'm building up credits, and I'll get that. I like trading, and I like paying half. So
Yeah, makes sense.
with Wiz Comics, I'm also very big in looking for an X-Men 1. I want to get an X-Men 1,
Okay.
and they're in reach now. And I
So
see a
X-Men
lot.
one, I thought in a weird way because you've been restoring that one forever, but that's somebody else's book.
It's someone else's book, yes.
Okay.
So I want to get one of them. I want to get an event. I want to get the key Silver Age ones. I want to get the Avengers one. So I keep my eyes out.
Well,
And
now is the time to buy because the prices have dropped
I,
insanely.
I think they're going to continue to go down, and
Mhm.
my threshold in at least America, and will have ripple effects in Canada, is what's going to happen with the presidential election. And
Yeah.
I honestly think, and I'm not going to talk politics, but whoever wins that presidential election
Will
in the US,
determine. Yeah. Yeah.
there's going to be one that things are going to get rolling again and things are going to go up. I personally, the economy is going to
Yes.
get rolling. And then there's someone else that it's going to
Not so
continue
much.
to
Continued
decline.
decline.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have
yeah.
the same thing in Canada. We have the same thing in Canada. So,
It, it, and
um,
it, and it's and it's a little crazy right now because it's sad because I'm a lawyer and I go to court and there's people. Listen, you live very hard right now if you're living from paycheck to paycheck
oh
because things
yes,
are so expensive. If
inflation
you
is
go,
brutal.
it's brutal, and especially in Canada. I know you go, it's brutal, and you go
We
to the
just got a
supermarket.
new what's it called? Carbon tax. So price of gas went up 10 cents in one day.
10 cents. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
per
it
liter, per liter. So that'd be like
right,
40
right.
cents per gallon. Can you
Well,
imagine one day 40 cents going up?
I have a pickup truck, and I won't get rid of it. It's like a 2012 because it
Mhm.
has E85 fuel, and I don't know if you
Okay.
know what E85. It's that corn oil fuel, where
Oh, okay.
I'm. It's $1.90 a gallon, and I
Wow.
just don't understand. And they generate it using corn oil. Okay, so
Mhm.
I don't know why they don't promote that a little bit more than the electric car. And it's really, I don't want to
It's
get rid of
typical.
it. Yeah, yeah, it's typical. But so I'm looking because I look, I'm sure you do as well. eBay, I'm looking a few times a day. I have my searches, I go on it. And are you noticing that a lot of Golden Age comics are sitting, the ones for the when the seller has a buy it now price, they're not
Mhm.
moving a lot of them, the majority of
Well,
them. That's
a
at least
lot of
my
the time
opinion.
they've already factored in like increase in price. I find that eBay prices are usually 20% above FMV. So
Okay.
they're
Okay.
trying to bake in a profit beyond what the last sales are. So a lot of the time that's why they're sitting because people are like, well, FMV is like $1,000 and you're charging 1,200. It doesn't
Well,
quite make sense.
first I see if the seller has an Instagram page,
That's what I
and
do too.
if
I do
they
that too.
have an
I
Instagram
reached out.
page,
I just picked up a collection of
you
EC comics where I
right.
reached out to the guy on Instagram and I got
Sure.
basically I got the price half.
You have to
I
go around. Yes.
yeah.
And then also what I'm doing now, I ask, and I hear that you do it sometimes. You ask the seller, hey,
Yeah.
you want to do a payment plan? And
Yeah.
sometimes, and I'm all for that. And listen, if
Hmm.
I wanted to drain a bank, or I'm not saying drain a bank account, it's a lot
Hmm.
easier to make payments on things
Yes.
interest free than cutting a check. And it just
Yes.
feels better and you get what you want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and for that reason, I'll even pay a little bit more to have the payment
The
plan.
payment plan. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit, nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
But
you
I
gotta be
always
reasonable about it.
you have to be reasonable. So I'll ask for
Mhm.
payment plans, go around and try to contact the dealer. And there's a lot of good dealers out there. And Alan, it does help that you are in the community. And I can't tell
Oh,
you how many times I make offers on eBay and I say, hey, listen, I have a
a YouTube channel.
channel on YouTube. It's Jerry the Jitterbug. Go check it out. I want to use the book as one of my subjects and I want to
Mhm.
conserve it. And sometimes they say, you know what? I had it more than one time say, I watch your channel. I would love to have that.
Oh,
And
that's
I get a discount
awesome.
on the book. So
Okay, well,
it's
I got to start using that. I don't think my channel gets that much love, but um,
I don't get that much love either, and I don't get it. And I is this off topic? Is because with YouTube in general, it's sometimes I get a little. I'm not going to say down, but I can say down. I'm like, why am I only getting 300 or 400 views? I'm getting a lot more
yeah,
views
yeah,
as
yeah.
time goes on, and I'm like, I'm putting a lot of time into this. I'm putting a lot of work into it, And I think that maybe the draw of conserving comics, cleaning comics is not that sexy versus the speculation videos or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. It's like one of those things like, I think I mean your channel has grown like
It has. I
it's
can't
it's
complain.
done well. It's done well. Like we keep on like kind of like overlap like going like sometimes I'm ahead of you, sometimes you're ahead of me. I think right now
Right.
you're ahead of me. So you have
I'm
nothing to
almost,
complain about.
I think I'm
You're almost at
about maybe,
4.
yeah, almost 4. So it's pretty cool. My average sub count is a month between like 80 and 100 and 100 plus. That's how it grows the channel.
So yeah, mine's usually growing at around 80 per month. And
Okay.
I just
But
I made a couple comments about something, and
okay.
I had 1 month where my channel actually lost subs. Like, and I
Okay.
felt like it was being shadow banned because I didn't play the nice guy that you have to do.
I've had that in the past too,
Hmm.
and I want the channel to grow. I
Hmm.
want to continue. I see channels out there. There's a few I'm not going to mention. They had like one day 300 subs,
Now they're
and then
like 500, 600, or 1,000
no,
even.
14,000 one
Oh
channel or
wow.
50. And I'm like, but then I'm looking at the number of watches they have on their videos, and it's only sometimes 20, 30, 40.
I mean,
So to me,
you can buy subscribers if you want.
that doesn't sound copacetic, right? And like buy subscribes, and I never have done that before because
I haven't.
I want
I like that's my actual background is marketing and all this kind of stuff.
right, right.
I could buy my subscribers. I could, build my channel that way, but I wanted to make it natural. I actually avoid my own skill set just
It,
to like,
it's not authentic, and you'll
yeah.
always have you can have all of these subscribers, but it has to correlate to the number of views that you
Hmm.
have. And I do these crazy, which I enjoy doing when I go to local comic shops, and I do the same
Yeah,
form,
I've watched a few of those that you did.
and those get a lot of views, like thousands of
I
views.
noticed that. I noticed that. They
Yes,
really
and
liked the one you did in New York. You did a good one
yes.
in New
Oh
York.
yeah, it was a simple a no. It really wasn't a lot of books that I showed, but just people I think
They
like
love the hunt.
art.
That's what they like. They like to see that hunt, the going into the
Correct.
wild and like slaying the
They do.
beast, the beast
And
comic.
shorts are very important as well. I try to do a short every day to every other day.
I've
And
heard good things and bad things about shorts, tell you the truth. That
well,
what'll happen is you'll get subscribers, but those people
mhm,
that subscribe off of shorts will prefer the short content. So you might be actually hurting yourself by getting short
maybe,
subscribers.
maybe. Well, I'll tell you right now, and I'll say this now for the first time. I was
Mhm.
demonetized for a period. I was
Oh.
my channel. So it was probably at the end of last year, like maybe
Mhm.
November. All of a sudden, I wake up in the morning, I look at what's going to be on for that day, and I go, "What's going on?" No, when you go on YouTube and you see all the
Yeah, you
money
see
signs,
the money signs. Yeah, yeah. And then you didn't have
they were
those
all
anymore.
they were all gone. I'm like, "Come on, what's going on?" I
What did you
look
do?
at it. They say I used reused content. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm one of the
I
most
think.
original contents. I'm working on books. So I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So I had to appeal it, and I had to do a short 60-second upload, send it to them explaining what my channel was about. So I
Okay.
did it. I did it in my own
Okay.
fashion. Hello, YouTube, and
Yeah, yeah,
showing
yeah.
what and then they said, "Oh, your appeals denied because you
What?
didn't express what your content was about. You didn't explain everything." And I'm like, "They're against me." I felt like I was being,
Wow, that's
targeted.
really crazy.
So then they're like, "You can reapply in 3 months." And
Wow.
so I reapplied. I went through all my content. I said, I'm not reusing content. and I reapplied, and like within 20 seconds they approved the channel again, and I got monetized again. So it was it was just an anomaly what happened. I don't know
Hmm.
why they did it. I I was really like wanted to take it to the next level. And I said, you know what? It's getting too personal. I'm getting too upset about this. Let me just walk away, and I'll continue doing the content. And
Wow.
that's it. So for a
That's
period of like
crazy.
3 months,
I have no idea what would have triggered that with your
I don't
channel. Like your channel is like
right
pretty.
reuse content. And I don't know. I was doing shorts like maybe like top 10 grossing superhero movies, and I was just showing photos of each movie, and they were getting thousands and thousands of views.
Hmm.
Um, one view I did when the Batman, the new Flash movie came out.
Hmm.
I took the fight scene with Michael Keaton as Batman, and I edited it where I did like 1 second, and I did it again and again and again. And I put music to it, and it got like 10, 15,000 views. It was a big number of
Wow.
views for short. And I thought maybe that may have triggered
That could
it.
have flagged it, especially when you use like any movie clips. They
Right,
really
right,
they usually will flag it. Yeah.
right. So before I reapplied, I went through my whole catalog.
You
I
strip those
removed,
out.
I deleted them. I went
Mhm.
through, if you watch in the beginning, I used a little segment of the Wham song Jitterbug,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for a
yeah. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I took all those out, but now I put it back in because I don't think that's reused because you're allowed to use a quick
Yeah, the
segment,
snippets. Yeah, yeah.
right? So that's the first time that I'm saying it on YouTube. I didn't want to address it on my channel because
Well,
I didn't
no,
want to.
that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you brought it up here. So one last thing, one last question, because we're
Sure,
way over the time. Normally
that's
these are like 50 to an hour long. We're almost at 2 hours.
do
So
part one and part two.
no, it's okay. It's okay. So last question is, where can people find you? That basic question. So,
Okay, well, they can
well, all the
find
links will
me.
be in the description anyways, but I'm just saying.
Okay, great. They can find me on YouTube, Jerry the Jitterbug Comic
Mhm.
Collector. Just do a search, Jerry the Jitterbug, and it will come up, and my channel will come right up. I'm on Instagram, and I haven't been I haven't been focusing a lot on Instagram lately. I did a
Mhm.
lot more. I'm concentrating on the YouTube, on YouTube, but Instagram's fun. I want to start focusing on showing more books on that.
Mhm.
So Instagram, hit me up on Instagram, and if you have any questions, what I do on my channel, please ask it on YouTube first in the comments because
Mhm.
I have a lot of viewers who will ask me questions on Instagram. They'll go right to Instagram. Hey, Jerry, I'm a big fan of your channel on
Mhm.
YouTube. Where do you get this or where do you get that? I would
Mhm.
rather have the traction
YouTube. Yeah.
on YouTube first, and then I have no issue. I give out my number. I speak to a lot of people, but initiate it on YouTube first, and then we can talk on Instagram. So that's what I would ask. And
Okay.
those are the two
Cool.
venues. That's it.
Anything
So
else that you're working on in the near future that you want to tell people about, or?
uh, I have so many books that I really want to work on. I'm gonna. I No, not really. I just want to finish this X-Men #1, and then we'll see what happens in the future. I
Okay,
have a
sounds
lot
good.
of plans. Okay, well,
Okay,
Alan,
cool.
thank you for allowing me
Oh,
to be
thank
on
you.
your
No,
chat.
that's my rule. I'm supposed to say thank you. You don't have to
Well,
say
I have to
thank you.
thank
It was a
you.
pleasure having you on the channel. It
But
was a
we
real
had a
pleasure
great
having
time.
you.
It was
Yeah,
fun. We
good.
had a great time, and I look forward to watching it. Okay,
Okay, well, thanks. Bye,
you're
everyone.
welcome. Take care.